Aloha everybody, my name is Brendan Stogner. I'm a horticulturalist here at Limahuli Garden of the National Tropical Botanical Garden, and today I'm going to be talking about māmaki. Many reasons why māmaki is such a fabulous plant. It looks incredible. It has these beautiful dark green leaves when it's fully established, and whenever the wind blows you'll see these flashes of white on the undersides of the leaves that just make your heart just kind of soar, you know? Besides their looks and their beauty, they are incredibly useful as when it comes to making a tea out of the leaves that's very popular here in Hawaii. Traditionally, they were used to make kapa at times, and it's just a beautiful plant. So one of the great things about māmaki is it's not particularly picky when it comes to choosing a site for it. It does pretty well from really shaded areas to full sun areas. The māmaki that I have at my house is in full sun, and it's very large, gives plenty of leaves and plenty of fruit every year. And it's just, yeah, it doesn't really mind where you put it as long as you give it some love in that beginning process of planting. Yeah, so to touch on a little bit more about the sun requirements for māmaki, kinda in the full shade, it'll do pretty well. It should have a little bit of sun, so maybe give it some partial shade, partial sun. In full sun, it'll do very well. However, whatever your yard generally looks like, it doesn't really matter if it's super high elevation, low elevation, full sun to very little sun. The māmaki will generally do pretty well as long as you give it some water. So when it comes to the water requirements of māmaki, generally speaking, it does really well if you take care of it in that first little bit after planting. It can dry up fairly easily until it gets established. So until it gets established, you're gonna wanna give it a good amount of water every day to every other day, depending on where you live. But once it's established, it generally doesn't need a ton of water. But that being said, it can take a lot of water if you're willing to give it a lot of water. It does very well in wet environments. You'll generally see it along streams in the wild, but they can do well in full sun and not a ton of water every day once it's established. Long-term care for the plant. Māmaki can be riddled with spider mites in the early process when it's little. But once it's established, there's not a lot that really goes for it besides certain caterpillar species. But it can attract native caterpillars, so depending on what kind of caterpillar you have on that thing, you might want to do a little bit of research before you try and get rid of it. It is a nettle, and caterpillars love nettles, so just keep that in mind when you have the plants. But we love nettles as well, especially this one that doesn't sting you. So making tea out of it's great, but in that long term, hope for it. Once it's established, once it has many branches and has plenty of leaves to give, feel free to take as many leaves as you can off of it that doesn't leave the plant barren. It will respond well to picking and pruning, pinch pruning, many types of different techniques to get the leaves off of it, but it's a pretty resilient, hardy plant once it's established in your yard. So enjoy your māmaki and enjoy getting all the tea you can from it. It's awesome.